It began as a simple exhibition, a quiet tribute to one of China's most beloved actors, Menglong. Fans came to remember him, to see his handwriting, his favorite jacket, the scripts he once carried everywhere. Everything about the display spoke of warmth, nostalgia, and respect. But no one expected the discovery that would change everything. And no one could explain what happened next. In the heart of the museum, the tribute room had been arranged carefully. Every object had meaning. Every detail told a story of the man whose kindness and artistry had touched so many. There were photographs of him smiling, letters he'd written to fans, even the guitar he once played late into the night on set. For weeks, the exhibit remained calm. Visitors came and went, leaving flowers and folded notes of gratitude. Then, one morning, workers preparing a small renovation noticed something strange. Behind one of the display walls, a section that was supposed to be solid, the plaster sounded hollow. At first, they thought it was a simple construction flaw. But when they removed the outer panel, what they uncovered froze everyone in place. Behind the wall stood a statue, a life-sized, perfectly sculpted figure. Its features were unmistakable. The eyes, the jawline, even the subtle posture. It looked exactly like Menglong. For a moment no one spoke. How could something like this have been sealed behind a wall? Who had placed it there? And why did it look so alive? The workers called the curator, who immediately halted all activity. They documented the finding, took photos, and carefully moved closer. The statue's surface was smooth, carved from dark stone that shimmered faintly under light. But what made everyone's heart skip a beat was what was carved into the back. 3 small characters, barely visible. When translated, they formed one haunting word: you. It didn't say memorial. It didn't say farewell. Just you. The curator ordered silence. No one was to post anything online. They wanted to understand what they had found before word spread. But by that evening, someone had already leaked a picture. Within hours, social media was on fire. Fans zoomed in on the image, comparing it side by side with photos of Menglong. The resemblance was eerie. The statue even had the same faint scar along the right eyebrow that he'd gotten years ago while filming a historical drama. Was it a coincidence? Or something more? People began to speculate wildly. Some believed it was an art installation, a hidden dedication from someone close to him. Others insisted it was older, that it might have been built long before the exhibit, as if someone knew or predicted his image would someday belong there. Days passed, and the atmosphere inside the museum grew heavy. Visitors who came to see the new discovery spoke about a strange feeling near the statue. The air felt cold, even when the rest of the room was warm. Lights above it flickered unexpectedly. Security guards swore they heard soft humming when no one else was around. Then came the most unsettling moment. A visitor noticed faint handprints on the glass display that had been placed around the statue. They were too high to belong to a child, too wide to match any of the staff. The prints appeared overnight, and by morning they were gone. The museum tried to keep calm, but the tension was impossible to ignore. Every few minutes, someone mentioned the same thought. Why was the statue hidden? Why behind a wall, as if someone wanted it concealed? As curiosity grew, the museum received permission to examine the structure more thoroughly. Experts arrived to analyze the material. They said it wasn't ordinary stone. It contained traces of a rare compound often used in ancient preservation rituals, a detail that only deepened the mystery. The story spread beyond the city. News outlets began reporting about the statue of Menglong that had been sealed and forgotten. Fans flooded the museum, hoping to glimpse the figure before it was removed for testing. Crowds filled the hall every day, phones raised, whispers echoing against the marble floor. Then, one evening, everything changed. It started with a sound, a low hum, almost mechanical, yet strangely rhythmic. Security footage later showed a faint flicker in the lights above the statue, followed by a power surge that rippled through the building. Within minutes, smoke filled the corridor. Fire alarms blared. Visitors screamed and rushed toward the exits. Flames burst from the ceiling tiles, swallowing the air in waves of heat and color. The museum's sprinkler system engaged, but it was too late. The fire had spread too fast. By the time firefighters arrived, the hall dedicated to Yu Menglong was engulfed in flames. The tribute room, the photographs, the letters, all gone. But when the fire was finally contained and the smoke cleared, one thing remained untouched. The statue, standing tall amid the ashes, not a single burn mark on its surface. The glass around it had shattered, yet the figure itself looked almost untouched by reality, like it had been waiting for the flames to pass. Investigators called it strange, but not impossible. They blamed it on the material, stone that could withstand heat. Yet those who had seen the scene in person said the heat was intense enough to melt metal frames nearby. Nothing else survived, except the statue and the wall behind it, where the faint word Yu was still visible. The museum closed temporarily. Reporters demanded answers. Officials called it an electrical fire caused by faulty wiring, but even that explanation didn't sit right. Everything about the event, from the timing to the way the flames had moved, felt deliberate. And then came another detail that sent chills down everyone's spine. When experts reviewed the surveillance footage, they found something that shouldn't have been there. At precisely 9:41 p.m., a shadow appeared near the statue. Faint, human-shaped, but undeniably present. It lingered for 3 seconds. Then the camera feed cut to static. The fire started seconds later. The footage was shown only to a handful of staff, but as rumors leaked, the museum tried desperately to contain them. They said the camera had malfunctioned, that the shape was smoke, nothing more. But those who saw it firsthand said it looked like a man standing beside the statue, and the outline resembled Yu Menglong himself. Was it coincidence? Or something trying to be seen? Fans online began connecting the dots. They noticed that the fire broke out on the same date Yu Menglong had filmed his last emotional scene before his death. The one about letting go, about legacy, about being remembered. The symbolism was too strong to ignore. Some said it was fate. Others whispered it was unfinished business. A presence refusing to fade. The museum, overwhelmed by attention, decided to move the statue into storage for investigation. But something unexpected happened. When workers tried to lift it, they claimed the air around them grew cold. Tools slipped from their hands. One of them fainted on the spot, later describing a voice, soft, distant, whispering a single word. "Stop."